What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Today, we're going to be going over our bold predictions for the New York Mets going into the 2025 season. We are just a few days away from opening day. Actually, we are 1 day away from opening day. You guys are going to be listening to this and watching this on Wednesday. We do appreciate you. Can't wait for the big game. Couple things before we get going. Of course, we're doing a live show on Saturday at Murphy's Bar in Astoria. If you're able to make it out there, that would be amazing. We're going to have some t-shirts to give away. We've got a ton of stickers. We're going to be doing a live pregame and postgame so you guys can get involved in that as well. We want to see you guys out there. Murphy's Bar in Astoria, Saturday night for Mets versus Astros. Also, make sure you are subscribed to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. We also have a membership program now that you can join. You'll get access to videos early. We usually upload them late at night. You'll be able to see them as soon as they're ready. So join if you are interested in that, as well as a monthly live stream Q&A. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. I think that's everything, right, James?
And if you guys want to join the Discord, be a part of the community, we have our Discord popping right now. The link is in the description. It's been a great place so far.
Forgot about the Discord. All right, let's get going with our bold predictions. You guys know that James loves to not really give predictions, so I'm sure that these are going to be the boldest things ever. I believe last year James told us that Luis Severino was going to have a 4 ERA.
As his 3.7, I nailed it.
As a bold prediction. He was like, bold prediction, this guy's going to be an average pitcher. So I can't wait to hear what you got today, and I got to open the floor to you. Get us started. Where are we going first?
In 2023, that's statistically the worst pitcher in baseball, and I told you he'd be slightly better than league average. To me, that's bold, but all right, I guess I can fuck myself then. So my first bold prediction, I'm going to start out with a pretty bold one here. David Peterson leads the National League in wins.
Don't you stole mine. What the fuck? That's mine.
You let me go first. You said want to be bold. I want to be bold. But
that's fucked up. That's not right.
The morning of opening day, we're going to have like a full Mets just pure starting pitching preview with Nick Pollock just to quell everyone's nerves ahead of the actual opener. But a big thing we talk about there is the fact that the Mets need a horse. Like the Mets need a guy who's going to soak up some innings, go deep into games, because there's no Sean Manaea right now. Kind of be what Sean Manaea was down the stretch last year, because the Mets don't do what they did if Sean Manaea isn't going 6-7 innings every single time out. Because again, he's a 6-7 inning pitcher. Everyone knows that. He always has been. He always will be. I think David Peterson can be that guy this year. David Peterson has a pretty deep mix. David Peterson's growing in his comfortability. David Peterson, I feel like grew up a lot mentally last season. I feel like that there was a big step that was taken for him. Again, physically, yes, pitching better, having his labrum fixed, pitching deeper into games, but just mentally being able to get himself through jams, get himself deep into games, work himself in and out of trouble. Like that was something that we'd never seen very much from David Peterson in his career before last season. I think this year with that added confidence, with his amazing extension, just being a guy that now we kind of know we have to rely on heading into the season. We're going to see 6 innings, 7 innings from David Peterson. Another part of leading the National League in wins, because half has David Peterson pitching well for 6-7 innings. The other half of that's the Mets being a good team, the Mets scoring tons of runs, the Mets having a good bullpen. I think that's all going to coalesce. And again, David Peterson, I'll tell you right now, 18 wins, leads the National League.
Damn, I can't believe you took mine. I mean, at least the digital footprint's out there. I've had my bold predictions video out on my channel for a while now. So the digital footprint says that's my prediction, and I've told you that one at the bar the other day, but it's all right. It's okay. You're stealing mine. That's no problem. Just to piggyback on that, too, Mets were 15-6 last year in David Peterson starts. He was 10-3 on the season, 121 innings, and down the stretch, there was only, I think, 2 or 3 starts from the month of July onwards where David Peterson did not go 6 innings or more. If he's going 6 innings, he's probably winning the game. The Mets offense is really good. They're going to be able to score. The bullpen's a lot better, too, than it was early in the season last year. Really, really feel confident about him. I wish I could find somewhere to put a bet on David Peterson to lead the league in wins. It's just not even available. He's not even on their radar, which is such a shame because we can make a killing.
Yeah, they don't have these anyway. They've really nerfed the Major League full season baseball bets. It's really disappointing heading into the season. But now, give me something bold.
All right, something bold. All right, I'm going to give you something bold here. I think Juan Soto has a 500 on base percentage this year.
That's pretty bold.
You like that? See? Yeah. You like that craziness? Okay, so Juan Soto, the only time he's really come close to a 500 on base percentage, which is like baseball nirvana. That's like you were on base more likely than you were, or more often than you weren't. Go back to 2020 when he played 47 games. He had a 490 on base. The other highest of his career was in 2021, where he had a 465 on base in 151 games, which is so insane to say when he finished second in MVP voting as a 22-year-old. I don't know. What if Juan Soto is just like even more of a freak this year, and he's like, my lock-in of the strike zone is just so good that I'm literally not going to swing at any balls this year. I'm going to walk a ton, get on base for Pete Alonso, who I'll piggyback this onto my other bold prediction here. Pete Alonso, 150 RBIs this year. Give me that one too.
All right, you stole my other one because I was going to go Pete Alonso 140 RBIs, which hasn't been done. 140 RBIs in 20 years since 2006. Ryan Howard 140 RBIs in a season. So 150 is even more rare. That hasn't been done since 2004. Wow, guess who's the last player to get 150 RBIs in a season?
And you said it was 2004?
Oh no, 2007. That was much more obvious.
2007. Is it going to be someone on the Rockies?
No.
Oh, Albert Pujols?
No, A-Rod.
Oh, A-Rod, yeah, that's a good one too.
Sosa had the 160 in the steroid season, 2001.
Yeah, and I was looking at the most like RBIs in the modern era, and it was Manny, I think, had 160 in 1999. And I was just looking at that roster, and I was like, how did he do that? Like, that's crazy. They had 5 guys with an on-base percentage of 400 or higher, which is absolutely insane. It was like Roberto Alomar, Kenny Lofton, David Justice, Jim Tomei, and Manny Ramirez all had on-base percentages over 400 on the 99 Cleveland Indians, which is an insane stat. I'm like, oh yeah, 160 RBIs makes a lot of sense. Honestly, feels like he might have undersold the RBIs there.
Yeah, that was an incredible team. That team had Tomei, Roberto Alomar, Omar Vizquel, David Justice, Kenny Lofton, Manuel Ramirez, and Hall of Famer Harold Baines. Could you imagine from that team I just said right there, the only Hall of Famers were Roberto Alomar and Harold Baines? That's ridiculous. Also, some bad guys too. Some very bad guys in that team, but also some tremendous. Harold Baines, of course, that year had negative WAR, and he only had 100 plate appearances, but negative WAR. All right, next bold prediction. Again, you might not think this one's bold. I think this one's pretty bold. I think Nolan McLean makes his major league debut this season.
No, I like that. That's a good bold one. Yeah, I'll allow that.
We've seen a lot of the more aggressive prospect prognosticators, especially baseball prospectors, who really value pitch shapes, push Nolan McLean up their rankings over the last year. We know the sweeper is a plus sweeper. It's an 80 grade pitch. It's been major league quality basically since he was drafted. We see him, how much better his fastball's gotten, how much life it has at the top of the zone. We see him working on his little cutter, tight slider thing as well. He's only been full-time pitching for what, a year? A full year now as a full-time pitcher. If things coalesce for Nolan McLean, who did reach AA last year, hit a bit of a speed bump there, but that's almost like, it's almost not even expected, but it's almost like, okay, now we don't have like a super freak on our hands. Yeah. Which, I mean, Jacob deGrom didn't even flow through that like that. But there's a chance Nolan McLean walks into Binghamton this year, kind of just lights the world on fire, is in AAA within a month or two. And then if depending how things break with the major league team, or just if he forces the hand or not, like this is someone who right to the top because he's that good.
I like that one a lot because he, at least at worst, is going to be a really good reliever. Like if he were to be called up right now with that fastball and that sweeper or slider, whatever they're calling it, like that, those two pitches are legitimately good. I'm glad that you also did a prospect one because I threw one in there. I put it out on Twitter before, and there was really, really smart people in the world that were like, wow, when you preface this by saying extremely hot take, it's unlikely that's going to happen, but I'm saying that Ryan Clifford makes his MLB debut this year. I loved what I saw out of him in spring. The power we know is major league ready. Like the power is legit. He hits the ball so damn hard. And while he does strike out a ton, he struck out 160 times last year and 540 plate appearances. We know that a lot of it is because he's almost too patient at times. He's a little passive. He likes to take a lot of pitches. He sees the ball. He's got a great feel for the strike zone. We know that. He had a 370 on base last year with a 228 average. So that's absolutely ridiculous stuff. And the power is really, really good. The path to the majors is weird for Ryan Clifford because he's going to start the year, I think, in AA. If he tears it up, he gets to AAA. And then you're just an injury away, basically, from being called up. That's my whole thought process behind it, is that Ryan Clifford is kind of that next man up in terms of that first base corner position. And if he has a good season in the minors, which I think he will, you could see him make his debut at 21, 22 years old this season.
I think something else with Clifford where I'm trying to incorporate it more into my own analysis. It's going to sound very funny to say out loud, but just he's got, like, you watch Clifford play baseball, like there's some eye tests that like pops with him. Like that comes around with certain players who like the data might not tell you, especially for minor leaguers, that they're going to be tremendous players. I remember like having the same feeling with Jazz Chisholm coming up, where like a lot of the prognosticators were like, oh, too many strikeouts, too many walks, that kind of approach won't make it to the major leagues. But then you like watch him play a little bit and you can kind of like feel this swag that's emanating like off of the way a player plays. You saw that with Clifford a lot in the breakout game. You saw him in the few appearances he made in spring training this year. Like this is just someone who's been born and bred to be a professional baseball player, someone that's been like, he's so ready for it. Like you see an amazing swing. You see someone who's kind of adjusting himself in between pitches, who's understanding what the pitcher's trying to do to him. And that, to me, could be one of the reasons why he has so many walks and strikeouts in these lower minor levels, because he's so powerful. These AA pitchers are almost scared to throw him strikes, so they may as well nibble, keep the ball out of the zone. And then, again, he still has a lot of swing and miss in his game. That's kind of the big hole he has, but that's how you wind up with very high walk rate, very high strikeout rate. So
Double
I like that
A was ABS as well, right? They have the automatic ball strike.
No, I don't believe so.
They don't, but it's triple A and nothing else?
It was low A years ago, but I think now just triple A, maybe low A. But I know low A didn't. I'm not sure if it does, but triple A did and does.
And double A did not, you said last year.
Did not have
so
ABS.
I am wondering, too, is there a stat out there to find out how many strikeouts he had looking versus swinging last year in double A? I wonder if that was part of it, too.
I don't think we would have access to that. But anyone with True Media, if anyone's True Media out there and they want to send us that kind of stuff, we'd really appreciate a True Media assistant for the Mets'd podcast. But I have one more prospect bowl prediction. Again, I don't know how bold this one is, but you might yell at me for this one. But I think by June, Boston Barrow is considered the top 100 prospect in Major League Baseball.
No, that's a bold one. I thought you were going to give us like Brandon Sproats up by June. I was like, I think there's a very good world where that does happen.
Not bold at all.
Yeah, it's not bold at all.
If you're looking for premium clothes at an affordable price, you got to check out True Classic. AJ, you're rocking the True Classic shirt right now.
Oh, believe it. Look at this thing. Look at it. Soft. It fits perfect. Even with these guns, not too tight like Scott likes it. Little bit of room to move in there, right? Look, you can wear it under a suit. You can wear it out to dinner with some nice jeans. You can wear it to the gym if that's what your game is. Whatever it takes, this thing fits great, feels great. Great shirt.
The long sleeve Henny for these cold, kind of warm spring days. Perfect.
Yep. Build the perfect outfit in 5 minutes or less. Everything goes great together. Free shipping on all orders. It's designed to bring out your best features with a perfect fit. So, FT fam, whether you're bundling up for the cold or getting ready for spring, level up your style with clothes that actually fit right. Go to our exclusive link, trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. FT fam, get after it.
But Barrow has started to get some steam, both in Fangraphs. He was picked on their next picks to click by Eric Loganhagen, which is an article they write every year, which is predicting next year's top 100 prospects. And Baseball America, our friend Matt Eddy, he shouted him out too as a big prospect riser to watch this year. We've seen Barrow just a very smooth left-handed swing, power and contact together. We saw opposite field power from him in the breakout game, which was really impressive. Again, no StatCast data on that, but he hit the ball very hard a couple different times. Again, smooth left-handed swing, and the Mets have been comfortable playing him at shortstop this spring, showing that he still has that possibly top-end defensive ability, and he spent a lot of his time as a plus defender at both third and second base so far in the lower minors. So Barrow, I believe they said, is going to start the season with Brooklyn. Brooklyn for a left-handed hitter is not very good, but if you get to Brooklyn's left-handed hitter and you actually hit, I think everyone realizes how difficult that is. That was kind of what sent Michael Conforto on the prospect rocket ship. And I think that's something that Barrow could put himself on as well. I think we see the midseason write-ups have him as a back-end top 100 prospect.
I think we saw Joe DeMaio, too, during the spring breakout game on the SNY broadcast, talked about how the Mets are being very aggressive with their minor leaguers, sending them up what would be seem like early at times to different levels, because they feel like they don't want their first challenge. They don't want their first difficulty to be at the major league level. That's a really, really hard place to deal with failure, where if you deal with failure at high A, you deal with it at double A, they'll feel like you'll be able to learn through it, push through it. And once they finally do, now you understand how to deal with that while you're not trying to become a Major League Baseball player at the hardest level in any sport, that exists. So I'm glad. I like Boston Barrow a lot. We've been watching him ever since the Mets drafted him. I like that one. I'm going to move it back to the Major League roster here. I think it's something I said on the podcast maybe a couple weeks ago now, but I think Brett Baty might just win the second base position outright from Jeff McNeil, and it's nothing against Jeff McNeil as a player. I think it's more so that I think his true value to this team, especially now with him another year older, more injuries and stuff like that, I think his true value is being a super utility player on this roster, playing second base, playing the outfield, just kind of going all over the place, being a little bit of an agent of chaos. I think that's where Jeff McNeil's perfect role is. And I really do think Mr. March, Brett Baty, the dude, everything is clicking right now. Everything is so good for him. So I just hope he can get off to a decent start. I don't need a scalding hot start. I don't need him to be the best hitter on the Mets by any means, but I just want him to show maybe the first couple weeks that he's very much a capable major league player, especially at the second base position. And I think that'll put him in a good spot to have a great season this year.
The two things I'm going to poke holes in this one. One, if that is the case, what is the outcome for Luis Angel Acuna? And two, if Brett Baty say he wins the job and he's the guy and McNeil takes the roster spot back from Acuna, how do the Mets wind up going through a platoon with Baty? Because I still don't feel like they're ever going to be comfortable, especially not this year with him facing left-handed pitching.
I think there's a possibility there. I think I don't know how much you really face left-handers where you need to worry too much. Like think about how many, once a week. And then if that's the problem once a week, maybe that's when Jeff McNeil plays second base because you trust Jeff McNeil against the lefty more than you do a guy like Brett Baty. That's where I think that McNeil in that super utility role. With Acuna, I think Acuna is honestly, I think they're going to give him some shine in center field at some point. They have to. I think that's where he has more value to this team. Just like he's a good fielder in the infield, but right now when you're looking at this, you're looking at this roster like, okay, center field might be a spot still where he could find some playing time, especially because as much as we like Jose Siri and Tyrone Taylor, those guys by no means are guaranteed spots on this roster for the entire season. So I think there's a world where if one of those guys struggles, maybe that's a place where he could get some looks as well. I don't know. Acuna is also just kind of a little bit screwed in this situation, which that sometimes happens. The best players rise to the top. Not that he's not really good. He just might not be getting that opportunity.
I think Brett Baty is also 3 entire full years older than Luis Angel Acuna, which definitely plays into it as well. We heard David Stearns during the Mets game against the Yankees on Monday afternoon. Gary asked him very specifically about the timelines for both Jet Williams and Ronnie Mauricio and their impact. Would you say
2 years older?
2 years older. Yeah. Oh, but Baty's only 24 still.
Baty is 25. Acuna is 23.
Oh, I thought Acuna was 22. Okay, but Gary asked David Stearns specifically what the timelines were like for both Jet Williams and Ronnie Mauricio, and Stearns said Jet's good starting season at Double-A. Probably a lot of hurdles to climb for him to make his major league debut this year. But they said Mauricio's going to be held back since stay spring training for a little while, and he's going to continue playing rehab games with St. Lucie in Low A as the season begins. But then the second he's ready, in baseball shape, timing's there, he's going to Triple-A, and he's someone that he could definitely see impacting this team and this roster this season. So I think that again complicates things more because I think Mauricio and Baty, that's to me also a very fun platoon combination at second base, especially with Mauricio being able to play third base. And again, I agree with you for Acuna with the outfield. We just haven't seen it that much.
Yes. And
you can't play major league center field if you haven't seen it that much. And he's so tiny. There's not many very tiny center fielders like that. I have the same issue when they talk about Jet Williams playing center field. Like, I don't know how many center fielders are 5'7". I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like, Cedric Mullins is like 5'9". He's a pretty small guy, but he's so nice with it. He's incredibly smooth. Like, I really can't think. I mean, Beltran was
Cedric Mullins is 5'8". He's listed as the same height as Luis Angel Acuna.
Well, Luis Angel Acuna is not 5'8", so we're going to take that one back right now.
Beltran was 6'1". He was not small.
Who?
Did you say Beltran?
I thought Beltran, remember we talked to him? I don't think he was 6'1".
I think he was 6'1".
Oh, I think he was a little smaller than let on there. But if Luis Angel Acuna is 5'8", then I'm 5'8". I'm not 5'8". So that's a big issue right there. I mean, we saw the picture last year when Francisco Lindor stood next to Luis Angel Acuna. Francisco Lindor's height was reduced from 5'10" to 5'9" heading into the season, showing his old age. I guess he's shrinking. He looked 2 inches taller than Luis Angel Acuna, if not more than that. So it's just a very, I don't know. There's you never want to like put players in the box, but there is something to players' bodies, archetypes, and what positions they can actually play on a baseball field. And I even think Baty's pushing the limit for second base. He's one of the biggest second basemen in the league right now going into the season. But it's very funny that these are all good problems to have. The Mets have so many good players in the 40-man roster. We have to like fit puzzle pieces together of young players with potential to make it work.
I'm just gonna say something crazy. Like there's another team that's been pretty good over the last 10 years that you had these issues where you're like, where are you gonna play Miguel Vargas? Like, where are you gonna play these guys? Like the Dodgers were like, we have Dalton Rushing would be starting on 20 of 30 Major League Baseball teams right now. The guy's an absolute stud. And the Dodgers are like, yeah, have fun in AAA for the third year. Like, figure it out more, I guess. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and also I think I like that we're talking about some Mets hitting prospect projections because this I think is important year for Mets player development in terms of hitters.
Yes.
Because we've seen the pitchers we've seen a lot of pitchers get elevated this year, and we think there's going to be a lot more that kind of pop up this season through the lower minors. And going to be a big season for, again, Sproat, Tong, Tidwell, Nolan McLean, like we're talking about. These guys possibly inching towards the major leagues. Some of them pitching in the major leagues. Probably half those guys pitching in the major leagues. We need some of these hitters to step up. We need some more hitters to wind up being guys who could be relied on for years to come because this is an expensive roster. It's going to continue to be an expensive roster. Between Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, that's like, what, $80 million a year? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, more. Yeah. These are guys that we really need to have guys fill in the cracks on this roster for years to come. We need the next Pete Alonso. We need the next Jeff McNeil. Mark Vientos was a good step towards doing that. The next Brandon Nimmo. Like, these guys a couple of these guys have to become players that we can trust year over year, time after time, guys that we're even considering giving contract extensions over the next few years, because we need cheap talent to rise. That's going to be very important for this team going forward.
What I got 3 more bold predictions on mine. How many do you got?
I think I only have one more hard one and a couple other soft ones.
All right, so give me. Nope, not going to say it. You pick. Yeah.
All right, here's my next one. This might be my magnus opus this year. Mets bullpen top 3 in the league in terms of ERA.
Nice. I like it. That is a bold prediction. I agree with that one.
I think last year, the Mets bullpen was incredibly underrated. We had the highest strikeout rate for any bullpen in the league, one of the highest strikeout minus walk rates. But the only problem was that walk rate was incredibly high. 11% walk rate from a bullpen, something that's just not tenable if you want to have one of the lowest ERAs in the league. You want to give up the fewest amount of runs. I think this year, the improvements the Mets have made to their bullpen in the offseason, I think the fact that we're going to have a full season of Ryan Stanek, I think the fact we're going to have a full season of Jose Budo, Dedniel Nunez, Reed Garrett, AJ Minter, that's an incredibly strong core, incredibly strong foundation to put underneath Edwin Diaz, who hopefully this year doesn't forget how to pitch for a month or two, and I'm pretty confident that will not happen again. So in the fact that at the top you have one of the 3 or 4 best closers in the league still, underneath that you have a very deep mix of setup men and who could do different things, the emergence of Max Kranick, possibly the breakout of Danny Young. I think that you put all of that together and you get a bullpen that will wind up being feared by midseason in the National League.
Yeah, I think especially with like those K- walk numbers for the Mets, like you forget that like Jake Diekman was on the team for 32 innings this year and walked 24 guys. You had Huáscar Brazoban, who in 21 innings walked 14 guys. Sean Reed Foley, 21 innings, 14 guys. Like they just had some dudes that were on this team for a very short time. Like Alex Young walked 7 guys in 13 innings. Like it all kind of added up at one point. But then when you look at the guys who were staples of this bullpen, you feel a lot better about it. I mean, Adam Ottavino, sneaky 60 appearances last year. Like,
yeah, he was released by the Red Sox earlier this week. I really hope he doesn't get that call.
I don't think there's a
great
shot.
Guy,
that call.
Great guy, but I don't want to see him pitch for the Mets ever again.
No, I don't think there's a shot. But I like that. I like top 3 ERA from the Mets bullpen. That is a bold prediction. I'm going to give you one here. I'm going to say Brandon Nimmo finishes top 10 in the MVP voting. I'm going to keep riding that train until it stops. Last year we were close. We were so close.
Should have had it.
That first half of the season. It's crazy he got snubbed from the All-Star team, but the numbers he was putting up, we were like, Brandon was going to have like 30 homers and like 110 RBIs. Like, what is going on? Is this the year that it all finally comes together? I think this is the year it all comes together. Hitting fourth gets Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso in front of him. He's going to be able to drive in way more runs than he ever has. He's going to have guys on base, and we know that while Nimmo has an incredible eye, is very, very selective. When he gets aggressive, when he gets his pitch, he jumps all over it. I talk about it all the time. One of my favorite things that Brandon Nimmo does is when a reliever comes into a game with runners on base, he swings at the first pitch and he does damage. Like they sometimes are coming back from break and they're like, oh, it's drive. And like Brandon Nimmo hits a home run. I remember off of TJ McFarland in St. Louis. Like I love the aggressiveness. And I think now hitting in the 4-hole, especially with guys on in front of him a lot more, we're going to see Brandon Nimmo be an aggressive king.
All right, this is good because I had another Brandon Nimmo bold prediction, but I didn't know if it was bold enough you're going to yell at me. But Brandon Nimmo gets 100 RBIs in his top 10 in the National League in RBIs.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that. I'm cool with it.
We've seen him be very aggressive so far this spring, striking out significantly less than he did last year. I know spring training stats don't matter, but when you see huge outliers from what guys have done in their careers, I like to pay attention to them. The fact that Brandon was barely struck out in his 33 plate appearances, really swinging hard, swinging for power, extra base hits left and right. I just think that he's going to kind of relish in this 4 spot. Like he's kind of understanding the player he's becoming. I know he has the plantar fasciitis, which is not a fun injury if anyone's ever dealt with that before. Shout out my sister for dealing with that. But it's just, he knows he's not. I mean, it's funny also because last year he set a major career high in stolen bases. He stole 15. His previous career high was 9. That was early back in 2018 when he was a spring chicken, 25 years old. But I think that's more of just the rules. I think Brandon Nimmo understands that the best thing he can do with this contract he has is get on base and hit for power. Like he has all the tools, which is very funny after watching this guy's entire career to be one of the best 4 hitters in baseball. Like imagine that, like 10 years ago, like 7 years ago, Brandon Nimmo was going to be one of the best cleanup hitters in the league. But he has all in him. Something like 28 home runs, 107 RBIs, 95 runs scored, sneak in the 10 stolen bases, 240 average, and 335 on base.
Nah, even higher average, 260.
I mean, we'll see where the batting average winds up. Last year, the batting average got very bad. His batting averages were higher before that, but that's like a 4 or 5 win player. That Brandon Nimmo, heading before last year ended, had 4 straight seasons with an 800 OPS. Like, this is someone with legitimate power who can transform himself as a player now hitting cleanup. I think there's a good chance that happens this season.
Yeah, he's a big, strong dude. All right, I'll throw in two quick ones here at the end that are just kind of throw-ins. One of them is a classic James pick, not bold at all, but Griffin Canning will lead the Mets in innings pitched this season.
Nice.
We're gonna bang that one home. And then my other one is going to be that Pete Alonso does not participate in the home run derby this year.
Good one. I wanted to have Canning, but I'm almost too confident in Canning at this point. Like I'm ready for the new Luis Severino to just step in and just be a guy.
I will say my actual real Pete Alonso one is I think the Mets get an extension done with him in season.
There's no way.
Bold. They get it done. He plays well. They're like, you know what? Let's just stay. Here's a deal. And Pete's like, I'm in. Let's do it.
Did you see the report that Verducci came out with today? Because today the Mets have donned the cover of Sports Illustrated for the first time in years. And I think that was, I want to say it was 2021. I want to say it was right when they signed Francisco Lindor, but it's all the guys on the cover. And there's a big article from Verducci in there talking with Cohen about the Soto pursuit. And it's the fact that in one of the final meetings, Juan Soto said, what are the rest of your plans for the offseason? He's like, I really want lineup protection. I didn't understand how important lineup protection was to me. With the Nationals, I didn't have any. And then having Manny Machado kind of clicked for me. Then having Aaron Judge, of course, I had the best season of my career. So what are you going to do? And Steve Cohen was like, we're still working on this and that. I don't really know. And apparently there was like a bit of a tiff. And Steve Cohen wound up like getting a little bit hyper in the meeting and a little not aggressive, but it seemed like the way that Verducci wrote and the way that Cohen was quoted is that he did get upset and he kind of left the meeting like in a bit of a huff. And then he was like,
with
we're not
Juan
getting this
Soto?
guy. Yes, the second to last meeting was Juan Soto. Like, we're not getting this guy. This guy's gone. He's going back to the Yankees. And then that night, Boris called him. He's like, great meeting today. Soto really liked you. You checked the ownership box. And he was like, what are you talking about? This is one of the worst meetings of my life. So I think that is kind of funny. I think that, if nothing else, Juan Soto is now the focal point, centerpiece of this entire team. Probably does want Pete Alonso specifically hitting behind him. Some people were like, oh, Pete's going to hit third, not fourth. I think Juan Soto wants Pete Alonso hitting behind him. I think that's still something that, but we've kind of debunked that. Yeah, some analytics people have debunked it. I think baseball players themselves are like, yeah, I want that guy hitting behind me. Because the guy in the mound's thinking about that guy hitting behind me. Again, sometimes the numbers don't exactly equate to like the mentality of it all, but I think that's a real part of it too. All right, I got my last bold prediction again. Not that bold, but something that I hope happens, something I want to happen, something I'm ready to happen. Brand Sproat, 100 Major League innings.
All right, yeah. All right, not that bold, but I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that many rookies throw 100 innings anymore. Last year, there were only a handful in the entire league. I think that Brandon Sproat is on the Christian Scott path. He's up May, June, because this pitching staff is going to need an infusion at some point, especially if there's any setbacks at all from Anaya Montas, which I'm sure there will be at least one setback between those two guys combined. Brandon Sproat gets the first call after pitching really well in AAA. He comes up, sinker sweeper, mixes in more changeups, becomes a very solid middle rotation guy for us the rest of the season.
I like it. I can buy that. I'm in. All right. Those are our bold predictions for the 2025 season. Let us know your bold predictions down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. If you're watching this over on YouTube, if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. Remember, Murphy's Bar, Saturday night in Astoria. If you're local, if you're able to make it, we'd love to see you out there. Come hang out with us live pregame and postgame show, along with beer, drinks, all that. It's fun. It's the best Mets bar in the city.
Yeah, Murphy's Bar again. We're going to be doing a lot of listener engagement with that stuff. We're going to have a third microphone, so we're going to just have people come up and say, "Come on the podcast and say some stuff." There's also going to be some drink deals. The first ever Mets'd merch, which is going to be pretty fun. We just went to a t-shirt shop, got them printed, so you guys are going to get exclusive rights. The first ever Mets'd apparel.
We're giving them
a
away,
really good time.
You're not buying them. We're giving them
no, of
away.
course. We're just giving them to you. We're probably going to have like some kind of game to win one or two of them, but also just going to give them out to people because we want you guys to have them.
Yeah, and you could subscribe to James' YouTube channel. What is it?
James Shiano. I'm going to have my own bold predictions coming out later today, Wednesday, for the entire season. I think I'm going to have one Mets one on there, but it's going to be a lot of crazy stuff. Much crazier than these.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. Let's go Mets. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.